The QEII New Generation Project is a multi-year and multi-phase project which will reshape how healthcare is delivered to Nova Scotians. Our audit focused on two new facilities, the Bayers Lake Community Outpatient Centre and the Halifax Infirmary expansion, which the government announced would both be delivered using a P3 model. These projects have expected completion dates of 2022 and 2025 respectively, with an estimated combined cost of $2 billion. In the past, my office has reported on weaknesses in large capital projects, including both P3 and traditional builds. Historically, we have seen issues with contract terms, contract management, and oversight of consultants. We have also found these projects often start off with poor or rushed planning. We needed to look at the early planning of this project to ensure that such a massive undertaking was started properly. We also want to identify any weaknesses early in this project so that they could be addressed while the project is still in its early stages. We've decided to report this phase now to ensure issues around the governance structure can be addressed as soon as possible. In the spring, we will release a second phase of this audit covering the decision to use a P3 model and on how government is determining what services will be offered in each of the new facilities. In January 2018, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal received a consultant's report which identified gaps in governance and key project capabilities and made 18 recommendations, including many around important topics such as project controls, assessing and increasing human resources for the project, and clarifying roles and responsibilities for the project. We found that after nearly 2 years, 11 of 18 consultant recommendations were not yet implemented by Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal, including 7 which the consultant identified as critical to the success of the project. Some examples of specific areas of concern for my office include Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal did not assign anybody responsibility for implementation of the consultant's recommendations, and there were no detailed plans or schedules developed to guide or track progress. No one was even assigned to monitor implementation of the recommendations until our office asked for a status update in June 2019, nearly 18 months after government was given the report. Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal ought to know the importance of putting such measures in place, and it is hard to believe they waited until we asked to start this process. Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal has not completed all parts of a risk assessment for the project. While risks have been identified for the Bayers Lake part of the project, Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal does not have mitigation plans developed to address identified risks. Also, Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal did not have formal project risks documented for the Infirmary expansion, and that is concerning. I am also troubled by the lack of attention to better management of fraud and wrongdoing risks. Fraud management should be a key component of such a large construction project, yet we found little attention has been paid to it. This is unfortunately consistent with our findings from our October financial report, and I believe Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal needs to manage this much better than they currently are. We also reviewed the selection of key consultants who were hired to guide planning and were satisfied that the processes followed were appropriate. However, we did note one contract was unsigned for 10 months while the consultant continued to work. Contract management is a key part of a successful P3 project, so I cannot stress enough the importance of proper management and oversight of all contracts as the project moves forward. We made 5 recommendations for improvement to help ensure the project succeeds in reshaping how healthcare is delivered in Nova Scotia. We specifically recommend the department should implement the remaining recommendations made by their own consultant to help close existing gaps in governance structures and key capabilities. Currently, both projects are in or near the request for proposals phase, where private sector partners are bidding to design, build, finance, and maintain the buildings. This means there's a lot of work remaining on the construction phase before transportation and infrastructure renewal gets to the 30-year maintenance portion of these P3 projects. The timing of this report provides government an opportunity to address gaps and strengthen weaknesses in contract management, governance, and project oversight before things go too far. It is critically important that the government ensures previous mistakes and current gaps and issues be corrected to improve the chances that this once-in-a-generation project is successful. I have left Nova Scotians with some questions they may wish to ask in relation to this audit.